everybody. It's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore
coming at you. And we're so glad that you're here, and we pray that you are blessed by what the Lord has to share today. We are going to be going over Act 2, Scene 51 of the Restoration play. And we're just going to kind of go through it.
the next to last scene
of Act 2.
Of Act 2, yeah. We're in the season finale of Act 2 right now.
Yep.
Oh, just you wait.
And so we're going to go over that. But before we begin, as always, we want to just give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to give to us and supports what God is doing in our life.
Praise the Lord.
We just love all of you and appreciate you. And we pray that you guys are blessed as well, because you bless us. And so huge thank you to all of you. Also a huge thank you to those who pray for us. We know that we have quite a few people who just are continually praying for us.
I know, it's amazing.
And so we just really appreciate that as well. And if you would like to give to us, you can. We have a PayPal link and a Cash App link below, and you can click either of those. And so what to say about this last week?
Scene 51.
Yeah, and I know we
could call it End.
Yeah.
There was a lot of ending and full circling and wrapping up.
Yeah.
There really was.
So we talked about, we had our snack video, which I know was more of like a second breakfast.
For real. It was longer than the Restoration play video.
Yeah.
It really turned out to be longer.
Just talking about the transition that God is doing with us. But with the last video of the Restoration play, we were really talking about kind of being at the end, as far as just like, it seemed there are so many things where it's like you're right there, right at the precipice of something happening, where we're standing before the curtains. You had the vision of this meteor being right here, about ready to hit.
Impact.
Even just the idea of...
I'm a dude, I have to do sound effects.
Part of it. Just even that idea of birthing was in the pictures of everything. And so I was like, all right, Lord, this last week we're going into it just like, what are we doing? Like, where are you taking us? And it was interesting because really this last week I feel like it has been a sense of end, a sense of fullness. That was a word that God was giving me yesterday. We were kind of talking about just the video and praying about, like, Lord, what do you want to share? And because
there's so much. Even with the snack video, it's just like there's so much that we could say. And especially because in this last week, and part of that fullness is God was really doing a lot of, I feel like, personal words throughout the week for us. And so we're not going to always be sharing those kinds of words, but it was just like, Lord, what has this week been about? And I really feel like it's been about this fullness, coming to a fullness point, where... that's a better word than end. I think that more hits it. Yes.
But end is still a good word, and we will get there.
It's the subtext.
And so it was interesting because I feel like we also came in the concept of the fullness was the idea of finishing. God kind of had us tracking with Tim Sheets. He's actually Dutch Sheets' brother, who does Give Him 15. And so Tim Sheets, he has a church called, I think it's called Oasis Church, somewhere in Ohio. And at the beginning of February 6th, the Lord gave him this encounter which talked about 54 days of change. And so that actually ended this last week. And personally, I can testify to, we can really just testify through, wow, God, he literally has taken us through this time of change for our hearts. There has been, in the Word, God was talking about a lot of shaking, and I feel like we've gone through that. Like, there's just been a shaking off, a shaking of, like, again, the Lord diving deep. You know, for us, February, the month of February was about really bringing down the mountains and then lifting up the valleys. And it literally started February 6th. And so then we've went into the month of March, and again, God was just speaking to this changing. And as we went into the month of March, it was basically, we started getting all these visions of the stage, where God was talking about, like, the stage is set. We had the curtains are closed, and then it was getting us in position, and then those last minute words, and then it was like, okay, you're lined up, and so there's just been so much in regards to all of those visions, kind of having to do with stage and the play. And so I just think it's, you know, and so we came to the fullness of those 54 days this last week, and it's kind of crazy because I feel like just that the Lord, you know, we talked about how a couple weeks ago the Lord was saying, hey, this vision of you guys being on the stage lined up has taken place. And this last week, though, I'm like, man, I feel like we're going through something similar again. But it was just like there was this sense of, like, more about, like, the soul. I feel like God was like, I lined you up on the stage with my spirit, in that he was speaking prophetic words over our whole family.
To hear what God is saying.
He literally, like, we drew up these people. For those who maybe don't know, we drew a person for each of us, and God just literally, it was just like, this is who I'm saying you are. I want you to see, like, who you are in me, what I'm decreeing over your life, what I'm declaring over you. And then it literally was then, we had all of those words, and then God literally prophesied over every single one of us in the same week. And it was just like, whoa, we're all lined up. Well, this last week, I feel like it was like our souls were coming into alignment with the Lord as far as just being ready to go forward. For me, it was basically, I think it might have been Monday or Tuesday night, where I was just, again, having this, like, time frame trigger. For those who know, time frames get me all the time. and
when you say get you, that means what?
Just, it means that it can cause doubt to come in. It causes a lot of sorrow and grief in my heart,
turmoil,
and just depression. And it's just like, oh, Lord,
a lot of wrestling.
Yes, basically. And
sometimes you'd be like, I'm tapping out. I'm done.
And so this last week, there was this moment where it was like, we ended up talking, just me just sharing, like, this is what I'm feeling, thinking, all of that, and just like, Lord, I'm asking you to just please help me. And literally, like, the next day, though, I just felt so different. There was just this strength of faith that, like, had arisen in my heart, and I was like, wow, okay, that's different. And, like, you had already, you know, been in a place of, like, let's go after, like, we are ready to just stand up in faith and continue to press in, continue to pray. And so there was just this reviving of my own heart, and I was like, okay. But then it was like, I think it was the very next God time in the evening, I think, our daughter, I mean, the Lord just, like, hit her heart. I mean, she was just praying like we haven't heard her pray in,
like, almost ever.
Forever. I think the last time was maybe like...
It was amazing.
Yeah, it's been forever. And it was just like, whoa, Lord, what are you doing here? And then our third born, he was just like right there with the praying and kind of just joined in. So again, I was just like, man, I'm feeling like we're living out this lining up vision again. But it's almost like a lining up of our souls, where our souls are just like, you know what, you're getting set down, like the emotion and the doubt and the fear, you need to sit down. Faith is going to rise up and take place.
Well, because in the vision, and the vision was we're on stage, and then I come up on stage first, and then Michelle comes, and then my daughter comes with my youngest, and then my oldest is just kind of straggling behind, just broken, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what happened the first time we went through this. Was a couple weeks ago, right? And then now this week, this scene 51, this past week, same thing. There's just been like a rising up of like, no, soul, you will not pass.
Yes.
You shall not pass. You know, and it happened in that same order.
It did.
The same order, you know?
And I'm not kidding you. It was just like our oldest, he was just having a really hard time. And God was just working on his heart like all week. And literally like the night of the 31st, like the last day of this 54 days of change, it was just like, he was just like, okay, Lord, like, I need you to help me. And really, literally, that's been the thing that God has been just like, I want to be your helper. Like, just ask me for help. Ask me to help your heart. And so he just started, it was just like, he just really opened up that night of just like, okay, Lord, I'm asking you to help me.
Was that the night we prayed over everybody?
No.
Okay.
And that was on the 31st, which I think was Thursday.
Okay.
But I was just amazed because I'm like, Lord, this is just crazy. I feel like we're going through this whole lineup thing again, but this time it was us, like you were saying, the soul is like, no, you can't, you shall not pass. Like we're coming into alignment with what the Spirit of God has said, and what He's decreeing and declaring over our life, and so it was just really like interesting because it was like, wow, this is kind of finishing up this whole time of change that the Lord has had us in. And of course, God continues to change.
Yeah.
But there was just a very significant, it was just a very significant time where God is just like, I am really going after the changes in your heart during these 54 days, and really just going deep and like just bringing things out and just, you know, continuing what He's preparing us for.
Yeah. Well, the first time we went through it, that we got prophetic words, right? And there was a prophesying. And then this, because I think it was actually on Saturday night that we prayed over all the kids. They were already in bed, but the Spirit of the Lord just started moving. And it was just like, we just called them out one by one and just started praying over them, you know? So there was like prophetic things shared and all that stuff, or there was just different sharings and all that. But it's like, here we go again, like at the end of it all, there's just this move of the Spirit to pray over and prophesy and decree. The first time was just straight prophecy. This time it was kind of prayer, prophecy, vision, sharing, that kind of stuff. But it was like Saturday night, it was like, wow, I can't believe we're ending like this. This is amazing. Like, what is going on? Like, the Lord is up to something. You just got to trust Him. You got to trust Him, His way, His timing, His schedule, His order of events. You got to just trust Him. You got to trust you got to trust what He wants to build and how He wants to build it. Because your plan might not be His plan and what you're trying to build. You know, and God doesn't want you to build even a small little trinket Tower of Babel. You know, he just wants you to build what he wants to build, right? I mean, we just recently experienced that, where it was just like a dynamic shift in like what we were planning to do, you know, and it's just like, okay, but it's like, that's fine, you know, we can throw away our stuff to take God's stuff, because our stuff doesn't amount to anything. Yeah. You know, so I just think it's interesting that we go through this Spirit Week, Soul Week, and it's like, wow, that's interesting how it ended. Both of them ended with like an icing on the cake of prayer and prophecy. You know,
it really did. Yeah. And
or
so,
did I get ahead of things?
No, you're fine. Okay. But that's kind of, so then we really did. We came to Saturday, and there was just this sense for me on the God time that night. It was like, okay, this is the end of phase 1, because during this week, you got, I think it was this week that the Lord was really just speaking to, hey, there's 4 phases that are going to be going on throughout this year. Now, that's not something we haven't heard before, just it's just said differently in our journey in particular. Since 2017, we can clearly go back and just see how God has just kind of taken the year, and it's been divided into all these different quarters. And so the Lord, again, was talking, but this time he was using the word phase. Like, okay, we're coming to the end of phase 1. And on Saturday night, I really was just like, I think this is officially like the end of phase 1. Because, you know, if you think first 3 months of the year, you would think, oh, March 31st, that should be the end. But it was really more of like, well, I think the Lord's just kind of scooping these first 2 days of April into the end of that. And then God just confirmed it, because that night while we were praying over our oldest, you saw in a vision the word end.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In like these big white letters.
They were probably like 6 feet tall. E-N-D. And they were just white block letters. Yeah. I was just like, wow. This is a big end. It's huge end. Yeah. And I was like, man, this could be the end we've been waiting for. You know, can I touch on the 54 days of change before we transition? Because I was thinking about like the first trimester, especially when it's your first child. You go through all kinds of changes, and they last for a while. And it's usually once the first trimester is over, you start to just kind of, oh, okay, the rocky part's over. Yeah. And you begin to start cruising. Yeah, you know what I mean? You
feel better.
Yeah. And it's during that time you start showing, right? Exactly. So I was thinking about that. I was like, that's kind of what this year's been. It's been like a first trimester or a first phase, you know, and even in pregnancy, they say you've got, after you have the baby, you've got like that 3-month period afterwards called the 4th trimester, where you're normalizing again back to not being pregnant, you know? And so I just think that that's what's going on. Yeah. You know, and this phase 2, I believe it's like, you know, let the show begin. Yeah. You know, let the showing begin. And so there's going to be a removing of the curtain, you know, pretty soon, because we're going to start showing, and God's going to start showing, and God's going to start showing on our behalf His glory. And Psalm 91:16 says, "I will show him my salvation." So there's getting ready to be a show. The curtain's going to open, and there's getting ready to be a show of God's glory. And His ability and His power. And it can be like Esther style, where there isn't necessarily lightning bolts and chariots of fire and wind and, you know what I'm saying, wind and hailstones on your enemy, stuff like that. It could be, but it could be more of a like such an obvious thing, like such a crazy epic thing that happens to you that even your enemies have to look at it and go, whoa, this is God. You know? And so I just believe that's what's getting ready to happen. We're getting ready to show. So it kind of speaks to the stage vision, but it also speaks to the pregnancy vision, you know? Yeah. It's just like you can't hide for too long. You know what I mean? Eventually, you start showing.
Yep, exactly.
So
that's kind of why I feel like there is a fullness in the sense that like this last week, there was a fullness of the finishing of phase 1. There's a fullness to those 54 days of change. There's even just a fullness with this lining up vision. And for us personally, God, He's...
You mean lining up on stage?
Yeah, lining up on stage.
Gotcha.
But for us, like, God has spoken to us about just the spirit, soul, and the body that has been a part of our journey for a long time, about how God is just he's working with our spirit, he's working in our soul, our hearts, and but then there's also the physical part of it, which would be represented by the body, and that he's like, I want to bring healing to and wholeness to your spirit, to your body, and to your soul. And so again, we're in this place where it's like, Lord, it just seems like, okay, you've done the spirit, you've spoken over us, you've prophesied over us, our souls have come into alignment with you.
Wait, you got to tell them about the father of the bride too thing. You got to touch on that. Having the babies put in your hand.
Oh, sure. I'll turn that.
Even though I just said half of it.
Yeah. And what did...
You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm talking about the soul right now.
Okay.
But
go ahead.
But yeah, and then having the lining up where it's like your soul comes and says, you know what, I'm going to just come into alignment with what God is decreeing and declaring. And so it kind of is like, all right, Lord, well, seems like the body would be what's next. And
the physical manifestation of the prophetic word, of the promise from God.
Yeah. And so it's like we're just kind of looking for that. And like, all right, Lord, well, we're lined up. I feel like, we've said this before, you can feel like you're ready, and then God shows you like a million more things that get you ready. But it does just seem like, okay, we're at this fullness point. And we're coming into a new phase, and my heart really over the last couple of days has really just been like, okay, Lord, I want to hear you. What are you speaking over this time? And just where are you taking us? And because it's like you don't want to assume, but you also want to really be with the Lord in His movement and where He's going and what He's speaking. And so that's really kind of been where I've been at for the last couple of days, as far as this new week that we're in, is just, Lord, just bring revelation, because we have entered into a new phase. But I do believe that it is about the showing. It's time to show. It's because, even in pregnancy, like you said, you start showing. And
well, can I talk about some other things? Because there was the 3, 2, 1, and then there was the cue the music and lights. It's like, I tell you what, man. The cue the music has definitely happened, because we've been just getting inundated with like new songs, and they've all been, the songs are even preparing our hearts for what I believe is beyond that curtain. And they've just been all love songs to the Lord, and just His songs to us, and it's just been like this Song of Solomon thing. I think that's what the cue the music meant what the Lord meant by that. And then the lights, oh my gosh, let there be light.
True.
That's the revelation. We've been getting, God has been showing us revelation. I think all week I've been saying, oh my word. And we've been getting revelation from the Lord, and it's just been like, this is the kind of stuff that the Lord reveals at the end of a thing. It's like, I can reveal all this stuff to you now. Stuff about my kids, stuff about just a lot of different things. It's just like, you just get this turn the light on revelation, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, you know. It's just been really cool. So I'm just saying, like, that has had some significance that has also prepared us and added to this whole fullness idea. It's just like our daughter just recently, she really is serious about her relationship with the Lord. And she's like, she was praying and she just felt like the Lord was saying, like, you've done everything that you can do right now, you know, to prepare for the change I'm going to do in your life. It's almost like you've done all the pre-op surgery stuff. Now it's just time to show up, get your blue gown, and going in. You know what I mean? Or really, you're just waiting to be rolled in. By that point, you do still have some preparation work, but it's like she's in a little blue cap or a little blue gown, and she's just ready. You know what I mean? And she felt like the Lord said that. And it's true. You've just seen the truth of it. Even to this day, you've just seen the truth of it. Like, we are just ready. You know, there's always more to do, you know, until Jesus returns, you know. But for a certain time and a certain thing that he's trying to accomplish, you can be done with that. There can be a completion and a finishing of that particular aspect. And that's just kind of what's been going on. Yeah. You know, and it's like, so instead of the 3, 2, 1, now we've been seeing the 1, 2, 3. And it's just like, oh, that means something's getting ready to start. You know, something's we're getting ready to go in a certain direction. So. Yeah. And that will be for another video. Yes. I could go into it, but this week's just begun. It's just begun. But yeah, so but yeah, that's kind of been just the week. I feel like there were just praying for this restoration act 2 to end with a bang. Yeah. I was like, Lord, how are you going to end this? We're just waiting to see. Yeah. And but that was actually something else that the Lord was highlighting to us, was just the idea again of the suddenly, and in a twinkling of an eye, just again, God speaking to, it's just going to be sudden, you know. And up to that point, it's going to feel the same. We've been reminding, you've been reminding us, but we've just been reminding ourselves, like, hey, it's going to look the same until it's not. Yeah, exactly. And then when it's not, it's going to be like, boom, done. Yeah. Like, what just happened? Lots of heads will be swimming. Yeah, and it's just that, like, quick, like, it's like a dam bursting, just, you know, which changes the landscape, changes everything. You know. Yeah, and it's just gonna be, all right, let's go. You know, actually, I will say this. We actually did this today. I was looking at the Give Him 15 by Dutch Sheets. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that he was just talking about kind of the timing of the Lord, and how, you know, they had been in the wilderness for 40 years. And then it was just like he came to Joshua and it was like, hey, go tell the people they've got 3 days to pack everything up because we're getting ready to go. And in the word, you know, when he was, because you can actually read it on his. You're talking about in Dutch Sheets. But on givehim15.com, you can actually, he has it typed out. Okay. So I was reading it, but in that word, he was kind of just like, you know, that seems kind of crazy. These people who have been here for, you know, wandering for 40 years, and you're like giving them this 3 days, here we go, like, pack up, let's go. And it just seems really fast. Like, you would almost think like, hey guys, you know, in the next, you know, you got 2 months or you got a month, like, just so you know, we're getting ready to cross over. It was just like, nope, all right, boom, here it comes, we're going. And
it was just that sense of the suddenly, and just how like important it is to just go with the Lord and his timing, and just that for them, their lives, it was, I mean, I think they knew, because Joshua was transitioning over to being the leader. Moses had just died, all of that. But it was just like, okay, here we go. You know, their lives pretty much looked the same. They were doing the same thing until it was like, all right, guys, it's the moment. It's time. We're crossing, you got 3 days, we're crossing the Jordan, and we're going into the promised land, and we're going to start taking it over. That drastically changed their lives. They went into a time, they went from, you know, wandering around the wilderness to
chilling out.
We're at
maxing and relaxing.
Full-time war here.
Yeah, for real.
You know, and so
there's not much else to do in the wilderness.
Yeah.
But just hang out.
Yeah.
Play some cards. You know, some chess.
Yeah.
You know, well, and then suddenly it's like boom.
Well, and if you think about it, it went rather quickly. You don't like. Basically, they prepared in 3 days. They crossed over. They do circumcision.
Yeah.
They celebrate Passover, and then the next thing is basically the next part of it is they're getting ready to walk around the walls of Jericho. So it's like boom, 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 you know, and and just how quickly things changed for them, you know. And once they crossed and they ate from the fruit of the land, no, they didn't have manna anymore. It just, their whole life changed in a very just sudden, like very sudden way. And so it just feels like God is saying the same thing. He's like, I've been preparing you, I've been transitioning you. That was really at the very beginning of this phase 1 of this year in January. God was highlighting, you know, hey, this is that transition from, you know, Moses to Moses's death to leading up to crossing the Jordan. And it's like, okay, I feel like we've gone through those, you know, that beginning part where it was January was kind of that Moses counseling, reminders, and then we went into, okay, Moses, that sense of Moses has died, and we entered into all those change days. And it's almost like, okay, we're at the end of that, so we're going to start preparing to go into a different thing, and that's that phase 2. And so we're just kind of at the beginning of it, but yeah, I forget why I got on that tangent.
Well, you're talking about the suddenly and the twinkling of an eye.
Yeah, so
fit right in.
So it's just like, it's going to look the same until it's not. And then it is just going to be different. It's going to be where we're just moving with the Lord. I
think the Lord has reminded me, that the Spirit of God has reminded me of that truth like 7 times today. Probably more. Because I have been just in a state today, just like just, oh my gosh, Lord, it seems like this and it seems like that and it feels like that. So see a lot of soul stuff coming up, and I'm just like, Lord help me, Lord help me, Lord help me, Lord help me. And it's been such a day of like Psalm 91, just call on the Lord and he will answer you, and he will be there in trouble. And I was like, Lord, I'm having troubles. And I've been telling him that like all day. Like literally, it's like, what time is it right now? It's like,
I don't know.
It's like
it's probably
10:05
10:05
p.m. on April the 4th, Monday. And it's like, we couldn't even do our video yesterday, which we normally would do, but it's just, there's been so much going on, you know, and I've just been all day. You know, I got up at like 7 o'clock or 7:45 rather. Well, I was awakened. No, I'm just kidding. But all day, I've just been just like battling. It's like you think you're going to get in the spiritual warfare aspect of things and just chop it down and it's going to be done. And it's like, what's for lunch? Sometimes it's an all-day campaign. It's an all-day affair where it's just constantly trying to poke at you and prod at you, and you feel like you're failing, and you feel like you're going under, and you feel like, I can't possibly be winning this. Lord, where are you? Where's the encourament? Where's the overwhelming Niagara Falls of reminders of scriptures and all that? And then the Lord just kept saying, he just kept giving me that. It's going to look the same until it doesn't. You know, it's gonna look this, and he just and every time he reminded me of it, it was just like I feel like I'm drowning, and every time he reminded me of it, it was just like got some air, and I was like, oh yes, okay, cool. Can you get me out of this water now? Yeah, these waters of adversity in my soul. You know what I mean? And he did. He did, man. He just kept delivering me. It was a continual deliverance. I'm like, thank you, Lord, because I was getting pulled under. You know.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, and it was definitely been. I feel like this last week and you know, even kind of the weekend, it's definitely been one of those just like hard work in the spirit, you know, hard work in what God is doing, what he's been finishing, and how that has looked for us this last week. And just, you know, you do feel like you're going to battle, and you end up like at the end of the day like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. But like you said, you know, you keep crying out to the Lord, he's going to hear you, and he will answer and give you strength that, you know, can only come from him. And, you know, quite honestly, even right before we did this video, I was like, okay, we're going to go do it. But I'm just like, I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of worn out from today. And I was just in the bathroom. I was like, Lord, you're going to have to help me. And I'm telling you, like, it was just like the Lord just kind of, I don't know, there's just that
like
sense
Gatorade
of like,
in the spirit.
like the Lord, all right, we can do this. Like, we're going to just go forward. And so it's like, just know, like, the Lord, whether you're exhausted or, you know, and sometimes when you're exhausted, the best help the Lord gives you is he's like, here, get some sleep, get some rest. You know, sometimes it could be get some food. You know, he has those answers for you and what's needed. But he will answer you, and just continue to look for him. That was something I was reminded of this week as well. It's like, keep looking to the Lord. Keep your focus on him, because he is the finisher. It was Hebrews 12:2 I saw yesterday, or maybe it was Saturday, and it talks about, it's really like, talks about Jesus being the author and finisher of our faith, and like, you know, he himself bore our sins on the cross, you know, despising the shame. But it was just like the reminder of like, it's Jesus, he is the finisher. He is the groom that comes and gets his bride. He's
the one in labor giving birth.
Yes.
You know?
he goes before us. You know, and just that our strength comes from him, and so we can go to him and receive from him the strength. But so I think that's all that we have to share with you guys. And
a fullness and an end.
Yes. And
in preparation for a new beginning.
And so we just pray that even for you in your own life, it would be the time for the show to begin, and that you would just see the glory of God upon your life. It would be time to see, time to just come into a greater understanding of God's love and just his heart for you. So
I agree.
Pray 100%. That in the name of Jesus, and just pray that you guys are blessed. So until next time, we will see you later.
Love you guys.
Bye.